Hello everybody! The Dinosaurs documentary by Netflix just came out about 2 weeks ago, and I'm a bit late to it, and I'm sorry, I've been busy and this is my first semi-long form, but let's get started. Anyway, I just want to start off by saying I absolutely love the actual documentary in itself, and I actually did like Life on Our Planet too, despite its flaws. I mean, overall, the Dinosaurs just feels like a massive improvement in terms of quality, animation, narrative. It just felt brilliant overall. I mean, the general impression on me overall is what I'm going to be going over in this video, and I hope you guys share your opinions down in the comments too. Anyway, just getting started, we're going to do a quick explanation of how I thought the intro scene does. So essentially, the show opens up by showing a Pachycephalosaurus walk through a herd of dinosaurs, which absolutely looks gorgeous, and I always love herbivore media. I wish we do get more herds in the future. And then, eventually, it goes for a mating display, and I think it's got some really beautiful warm colours, its lively behaviour in the herd. It really feels alive. It felt more like reading a book than just watching something on a sofa. And obviously, eventually, mid-mating display, the Pachycephalosaurus gets bitten and eaten by the Tyrannosaurus, which I wish they didn't really rely on the T-Rex as much as a hook, but it's still a strong opener, especially for a more general audience. Anyway, after this we move on to the early Triassic. I'm not going to go too early on because we get some amazing species just out of the book that I want to speak. So first of all we get Rhynchosaurs. They look absolutely incredible. They look perfect. I mean, the attention to detail on the models and the scale looks great. Then we have Lupericeuchus, like I said, amazing. Great reptilian from the early Triassic, likely one of the apex predators. And then we move on to one of my personal favourites, Tanystropheus. Now, this was very neat because I wish we really did see more of Tanystropheus in popular media, because it really reminds me of the original Walking with Dinosaurs spin-off, Sea Monsters, which was originally with Nigel Marven, and it was really good. I watched it a bunch when I was younger, and it did actually have Tanystropheus in it in one of the episodes. Then we move on to the more classic of a dinosaur. We've got the Marsuchus. This is what they like to show in the TV show as sort of the beginnings of the true dinosaur, and we get some really good chase and hunting scenes where eventually there's only one poor little guy left, but we do get a really cool time-lapse scene where we see it grow up through the eye. That time-lapse then takes us into a more Triassic-y area rather than the fast-paced action that we start off with. Anyway, the show is split into 4 main sections. You've got the Triassic, the Jurassic, and the Cretaceous, and the KT or KPG impact event. And throughout all 4 episodes, the quality seems visually beautiful throughout. And the ending episode is really sad, of course, but it's incredibly well done. It really gets you feeling that these are real animals rather than just meteor, dinosaur. Now, when compared to Life on Our Planet, I watched it recently for the first time because I hadn't watched it as I had heard a bit of judgmentals about it, but I wanted to actually. So I watched it recently, which sort of lowered my expectations. Don't get me wrong, I loved it. It was great. But there are a few designs which just really caught me in the downside, especially the Allosaurus, and they seem to keep that. I mean, there are a few weird designs. I mean, the T-Rex, it's got its flaws. I still think Prehistoric Planet has got the best design for T-Rex overall, but obviously, what can you do about that? Anyway, the Dinosaurs, I think, is a massive improvement. Although we still have the janky Allosaurus, which I can't really say much about, you've got so many more beautiful specimens, especially the Archaeornis, which does make a return from Life on Our Planet, the Tanystropheus, like I said earlier, Marsuchus. Really love the feather detail, especially on the Adzarchids. They look really good. And I think when you put all of these creatures together in this version of the show, especially with the better CGI and narrative, because there are a few times in Life on Our Planet which felt quite janky, such as the Triceratops, it sort of flows together much better. And there was no weird flash forwards to modern animals, which I think people didn't really expect in Life on Our Planet originally from memory, because you had a lot of cutting forward and back, which wasn't very interesting, especially when you're watching a show about prehistoric animals and it suddenly cuts forward, you find it a bit hard to distinguish between the 2 eras. But the scenes in the Dinosaurs, it's very streamlined, it's all in one timeline, and I think it works much better. So we're going to talk about a few of my favourite scenes. Firstly, you've got the Marsuchus eye time-lapse. I really like this. It essentially shows the Marsuchus, or early dinosaur, growing up, but you only see its eye and you can see the reflection. I think it was just a really well done scene in cinematography anyway. Then, you have the Plateosaurus. I have to love it. You have grazing animals, it's always going to be good. Then you have the Archaeornis flight. I think it was done really well, especially the way they were flying, glided, and you saw other Archaeornis flying from different directions. It made it feel more alive than we're just following one creature and everything else is silent, which is a problem which other shows typically have. Then you have the Hadrosaur versus the Azstarchid, which was really good. I mean, the attention to detail, and like a few other people have said, the way that the Hadrosaur just defends its baby was really well done, and I think it was very refreshing to see this as Dino Guy and a few other YouTubers that I watched. Then, moving on to a bit of more speculative scene, we had the Spinosaurus hunting. I thought this one was really interesting because you see it in the show pick up a small fish and drop it into the water. Now, we have absolutely no evidence that that would have happened. I mean, behaviours are remarkably hard to even tell in modern animals a lot of the time because of their lucrative ability. But I think it was a very cool idea because it definitely gets you in the mindset, if that makes sense, that these weren't just everyday animals, they were very intelligent by the end of the Cretaceous. You then also had some really good aquatic scenes. It wasn't all on land, such as the Hesperornis, which was actually one of my favourites. You had a Hesperornis, which was great as itself because it was a very penguin-like dinosaur, and you got to see it being chased and hunted by a mosasaur, which was a very well done scene. And because I was watching it with my dad, I remember very distinctly out of all of the scenes, me and my dad were sat there cheering on as the Hesperornis was going. Now eventually, it does get caught, but it was a super memorable scene, and there were quite a few scenes of that. My only problem with this, like as a gripe, is that there were only 4 episodes, which in theory makes sense, but it felt quite rushed. The structure overall kind of felt like, boom, a dinosaur, boom, an extinction, boom, and then it was just moving on. I think the extinctions and events that should have lasted way longer happened in a matter of minutes, which is understandable when you're doing a TV show, but I feel like they could have still felt it, even if not necessarily making it longer. There is a really good scene with the Lilian Sternus, which is semi-related to the Dilophosaur, and you suddenly see all of these massive volcanoes explode behind it, the earth shattering. It just wouldn't have happened that way. I mean, sure, there would have been volcanoes exploding, but you wouldn't have had everything going on at once. Unlike when you had the meteor, that would have sent off things globally. I feel like personally it could have rolled out a lot more if it was in 8 episodes, such as Life on Our Planet. I think it definitely needed some more breathing room. However, it was very welcome that Morgan Freeman returned to this one, and I think his name is perfect for a documentary style. It has that very deep boom, and I thought it sort of tied everything together. I know it's just a voice actor, but it definitely does help provide the atmosphere. The only thing though, there's no hate to Morgan Freeman. I think the script itself was fairly bland. It was very police report at a time. So essentially, it was sort of just describing dinosaur. Dinosaur does this, and then moving on again. But about the actual dinosaurs themselves, I think they actually had really, really good designs. I mean, they did great at showing the dinosaurs more as animals than monsters, like I said a second ago. And we got to see some really good scenes, like the Dilophosaurus courting, which is really fun to see. Well, I don't actually know that if a Dilophosaurus could stand so upright, although because it's bipedal, it was likely way more able to do that than, say, a quadruped, we know. That sort of just makes sense. I don't think it would have been that vertical as they show. Like again, you can't predict these behaviours easily unless you manually bend the vertebrae. Fun fact, in relation to standing upright, did you know that Brachiosaurus is actually one of the only sauropods which we know could not rear up on its hind legs? It's mostly linked to Jurassic Park, but we actually can tell that other sauropods likely could have, but because of Brachiosaur's notably longer forelimbs, you just likely wouldn't have been able to do that. Which is really weird, because a lot of Jurassic Park does force social media and speculation to sort of fit this creative medium, which is quite sad when you have these beautiful creatures. Although the behaviour is obviously going to be speculative, it's definitely really thoughtful, and it's not just random guesses, and you can tell that a lot of effort from a lot of very talented people went into this show, into the specific species than Life on Our Planet. Now, onto my final thoughts. I just want to say this is likely now in my top 5 documentaries as of recent. It's got some really beautiful scenes, there's some really good species choice, we got to see some Nodosaurs, some other random bits, got some good reptiles, and it wasn't just dinosaurs as well, which is always a treat. And I think it was a massive improvement in most regards to Life on Our Planet because they did some really well done Paleozoic media, but the Mesozoic really felt like it was lacking, just sort of streamlined Life on Our Planet, but dinosaurs felt very flushed out, and I liked that. I highly recommend watching this if you haven't already. Please do check it out. This video is way more informal than my usual shorts. I tried to do this as sort of a test. If you've got any long form ideas, I'd like to do some more videos that are actually in a longer form. Let me know in the comments because it would really help to get started on that. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more, it really helps, and have a good day. Especially on the ads arcades, and it currently starts forward.